はアルとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとクックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker, huh? I like to max and Maximas and AKIRAs. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking, huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper, with the little, cause on my lap, a shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking up. Ask the if I didn't took her, if she tried to front.
Virtual Pros, episode 21. The highest rated wrestling podcast in the world. This is Mike from Brooklyn, a.k.a. Snack Swagger, a.k.a. Trashy Freddie Blassie, a.k.a. Pusha Kimura, a.k.a. The White Tyler Black. And with me is my main oos in Oakland, Al.
Yo, drinking sake on a Suzuki, watching Osaka Pro, coming through your girl's house with Gucci kick pads on. My name is Al, a.k.a. Freaky Choshu, a.k.a. Super Brazy, a.k.a. Skeevy Richards, a.k.a. Pino Dabatelli. You're listening to episode 21 of the VRTL Pros podcast. And today's episode, favorite pro wrestling tropes. What are your favorite old reliables when it comes to Graps? Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros if you haven't already. Wait, no, I already did that. Our SoundCloud is Virtual Pros. Look that up and, hit that heart if you enjoy our show. And subscribe to us on iTunes by just typing in Virtual Pros as well. I am fucking shook with that intro, Mike. Like, I am like fucking, you know that meme with the SpongeBob SquarePants like crab? Yeah. That's me right now, dude. I'm in a fucking haze right now.
Yeah, I was, for those who don't know, listener Kyle in Podcast Town called me out for being like very unenthusiastic during these intros. And if you guys don't know, we do this over Skype, and I'm literally just looking at like a white wall while I do this. And I'm not the most enthusiastic person as it is, so like it takes me a minute to get into doing this show. So like all week I was like, I'm gonna be fucking pumped when we do that intro. But then Al just sprung it on me. He was like, why don't you do it in the beginning? So that like changed the whole game. So I got a little nervous and got a little angry, but it worked.
Well, Kyle was like, you know what? Like, I think Al is botting you out of the gate every time, so I think he wanted you to go first. So, I mean, if you guys like that format, email us, virtualpros64@gmail.com.
I'd also, before we get started, I'd like to thank listener Steven, who sent me a new computer. So if I sound extra sexy, it's because of him, and also the bars are looking stronger on my internet, so hopefully a little less Skype drops in this episode.
Damn, let's do it. So we got like probably a record number of emails, and I think we'll start now. I think that's a good idea, right?
Yes, also a record number of emails from people named Michael.
Yeah, we lead the league in Mike listeners. It's fucking phenomenal. Yes. Like the last 3 or 4 are just from Mikes, and we appreciate it, all Mikes. The first email is from James. The topic is Gaijin Eric. He writes in and says, I've listened to the Shameful fan segment a couple of times since I started on your podcast, and just remembered this psycho video that is really sad. He links us to this video of this guy's wrestling lair, and it's literally like 3 hours long. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but check it out if you've, are interested. Maybe you know about this lunatic already. Hopefully you aren't mates with him. He truly detests women's wrestling in the most vile way too, and sometimes gets dumb on Facebook in the biggest who cares way, and then a link to his profile. Basically, I would love to hear Mike just fucking shoot on this guy's half-hour wrestling room video. Mike, you and I have both seen this video. What are your thoughts about this man's wrestling lair? And I guess James's take.
First off, this is like the least timely email ever, because this dude just like blessed the internet with like hours and hours of free pro wrestling.
Yep.
And I watched this video. I don't know how I found it. I think it's just one of those things that popped up in my sidebar one day. So I saw it like way before this. And I can't like hate on this dude. This dude is fucking old as hell. He's been going to Japan forever. Like I said, he releases tons of free wrestling on the internet. I don't know his deal. Like, all I know is he's the free wrestling guy, and he has a crazy room full of wrestling shit.
Yep.
And yeah, so I'm not going to hate on him. And I also don't want to become the guy who with the edgy opinions in podcast world when it comes to wrestling. I listened back to that last episode on the way home today, and I was just like, oh man, like that was some stuff. Like I don't want that to be my whole podcast gimmick is just being hateful all the time, but it happens. Sometimes these demons got to come out of me.
The people love it, man. Like we got like a huge reaction for you just being totally salty.
They're gonna come out of me in 2-man scramble this week too. So
goddamn. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna hate on this dude. Like I said, he's like, I don't know him. I don't know his views on women's wrestling. I thought in that video I saw like women's wrestling stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, that dude had a sweet Hikaru Shida photo of just her butt, and I was like, that's cool. Yeah, like that dude like uploaded like fucking like AJPW programs and just uploaded tons of like old FMW and All Japan. So, I mean, I'm sorry, James, but I don't have any fucking, like, hate for that, dude. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're expecting that, but I think Mike and I are okay with that guy.
Yeah, for now.
For now. Listener Michael 1, he wrote in, and he says... Oh, wait, no. Do you have the Gmail up?
Yeah, I got it. I can read it.
Yeah, read it.
This is Mike Ultra. That's his full name.
Yeah.
So he goes by Mike, just like me. He says, question for the show. Hey, guys. Love the show. Was wondering your opinion on the following. A couple weeks ago, I got a message from a guy on Tumblr telling me he lives in my city, has an N64 and a bunch of Aki wrestling games, and was wondering if I would be interested in joining in on a few games. For what it's worth, my Tumblr is mostly fashion style related stuff, but every now and then there's a wrestling image on there. I thought this was kind of weird, so I never took him up on the offer. What would you guys do in this situation? Am I a snob for not wanting to go to a stranger's house to play video games? P.S. What's up with wrestling Twitter accounts that are obsessed with being right? I feel like I constantly see people pointing out that they called it months ago regarding some sort of predictable booking. Mike Ultra, a.k.a. Cody Nabushi, a.k.a. Super J Double Cup. First off, I'm into doing a lot of weird shit, and I'm always down for a weird adventure. But I would never go to a stranger's house.
Yep.
From Tumblr, out of all places, the real like armpit of the internet. And I don't know, like, yeah, that sounds super suspect. Like, unless you were like, you know, we do a wrestling podcast, so obviously people approach us about wrestling-related things. But if you're not doing a wrestling-related Tumblr and some dude's like, "Hey, come to my house to play wrestling video games," that's kind of weird. So I think you were in the right of shutting that down.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, for me, if I got a message about a dude that was like, "Hey, man, I just got No Mercy in the mail," I'd be like, "That guy wants to kiss my face," and I wouldn't be down for that fucking time. It's just me. Yeah, I think you made the right call, Mike. With regards to Twitter accounts that are obsessed with being right, yeah, man, I don't know. I think I've stated it before that Mike and I are pretty much like the only fans that do a pro wrestling podcast. Like, I never have, you know, the desire to be in the biz or to be a fucking insider. So these things are annoying to me for sure.
Yeah. I don't like... I guess it's because I've had the internet for so long and I've been active like on message boards and stuff for so long that I don't understand like this deep into Twitter where people are like, my opinion matters. Like I'm going to set out and make like this bold opinion and people are going to listen to it. No one fucking cares, man. Just make jokes. Like no one cares about your serious opinions. Unless you are like a known celebrity that has serious opinions, no one cares about your opinions if they're serious. Just make jokes. That's all Twitter's for.
Exactly. All right. Michael number 2, he writes in, "Hey yo," that's the name of the email or the topic or whatever. He writes in, "Hey dudes, just started listening last weekend and I'm hooked. Thanks. Easily my favorite wrestling podcast. Love all the R&B and the mixtape is consistently fire. After remembering the overall car wreck that was Raw guest hosts, what celebrity crossover could be a home run for WWE or even one that would just make you happy to see? Keep up the awesome work. Thanks, Michael." For some reason, J.R. Smith popped up in my head. And if that guy ever showed up on Raw and like each segment was him just like low-key hitting on like all the divas, that would make me laugh like tremendously.
First off, thank you for your nice comments and thank you for mentioning the mixtape because that is a labor of love to me. And I'm glad it's getting at least some love because as I said last week, I like to just imagine that everybody watches it, but they don't. But,
Yep.
you know, I like to imagine that. So I'm glad you're watching it, man. As far as guest hosts, I don't really care as long as they're like actually into wrestling because every time they've done it and it's somebody that's not into wrestling, it's so awkward. And this is pretty timely because at the ESPYs, they announced the Big Show versus Shaq. And that's pretty much all I want out of wrestling. And so WrestleMania is already like a bank count it for me because that match is going to happen.
You have the next email?
Yes, I do. Oh, this is a good one because I have a lengthy answer to this. This is from
okay, here we go.
This is from Michael 3. This has to do with Kit Kats and teeth. Mike, can you please find the episode on Kissing Contest where you shit on Al's Kit Kats and read it verbatim? Also, when wrestlers would sell a punch and spat, did you guys believe it was a tooth? So I'll get to the tooth thing first. I don't think I've ever believed that, but I probably had a lot of weird ideas when I was a kid when it came to stuff like that, but I never thought when they spat it was teeth, though.
Dude, so Shawn Michaels was so good at this. He would spit out gum, and for the first couple times, I was like, dude, his fucking molar is gone. And then, like, he kept doing it, and I was like, man, if that's real teeth, like, he would have no teeth anymore. So that was when the illusion was ruined for me.
Okay, so as far as the Kit Kats go, this was mentioned, at least for a couple episodes it's been mentioned. Al had sent my other podcast, Kissing Contest, a bunch of Kit Kats and Doritos from Japan.
This was like my second parcel, mind you. Maybe my third. I don't have any snacks I've sent you. There you go.
Yes, and Al has been salty about it ever since that we shit on him. And
Stop it.
And I know we hadn't. I know like it wasn't. We didn't really shit on him, but Al thinks we were like so disrespectful to his fucking Kit Kats. So today I was bored at work and I pulled it up. And I tweeted everything so I could remember and read it on the show. First off, if you're looking for this, Kissing Contest is a comedy podcast about movies, television, sweet boys, pleasant fellows, and hard-ass men. And you can find that on iTunes or wherever else you find podcasts. This was episode 235 of Kissing Contest. Usually it's three hosts, but it was just me and Doan, my other co-host.
Yep.
And this was 235. I listened to it and I can just tell by the sound of our voices. One, I was very high, which happens a lot on Kissing Contest. And two, this sounded like a very rare episode where Doan was also high because he doesn't really smoke weed that often. So if you just want to fast forward to this, it's the snack review starts at about 56 minutes in. Me and Doan both don't like the red bean Kit Kats. Those are the Haikido red bean flavor. Doan calls them unsettling. I didn't even go that far. I didn't call them unsettling. We are both somewhat positive about the Chocotori dark chocolate Kit Kat. The strawberry cheesecake Kit Kat, I say they're pretty good, and I'd buy them again. Doan says they're just all right. Are you
really doing this right now?
Yes, I want to set the record straight. I also want to say the only reason I mentioned we were high and I just completely forgot about it is I think maybe this is where the lines were crossed, where Al just thought us being like super relaxed was us being disrespectful, but we were just really high. But
okay.
I'm even somewhat complimentary about the butter flavor Kit Kat, and butter flavor makes me gag. Doan says they're number one. We're pretty indifferent towards the apricot flavor. I still say I'm glad they make them though. I like the ginger flavor and say I'd buy them again. Doan is too toed up to taste the ginger. Then we get into the Doritos. Doritos Royal Keema Curry. I say it's not my favorite. Still, they're pretty good, and I'd buy again. Doan is indifferent. And then finally, the Doritos Royal Tandoori Chicken flavor. I say one of my all-time favorite flavors of Doritos. I wish I had 10 family-sized bags of these. Doan is still indifferent, though. So Al was responsible for one of my all-time favorite flavors of Doritos out of the thousands of flavors, and he's still sad about it. And, like listening back to that, I was like, man, I wish I had those fucking Doritos again. They were so good. And like, I'm going to look them up on the internet and see if they're still available because they're real fucking good. If you guys have never had the Japanese Doritos Royals, you need to seek them out because they're like different than American Doritos. They're like hefty. It's like they're double fried, and it's just like it's like a meal on a chip. So check them out.
Okay. Here's where I'm coming from here.
And then at the end,
oh,
I forgot
God.
at the end, I say, thank you, Al. You're the best. You send us all the best stuff.
I want you guys to listen to the episode because one, I mean, we're 21 episodes into the Virtual Pros podcast. You guys all know Mike is a pro embellisher. Two, I don't buy the fucking high fucking defense. It's kind of like when you send like a regretful text when you're like quote unquote drunk. You still sent it. Like there was still fucking intent. Like Mike didn't have the decency to just lie and say like every little snack that Al spent $800 on was at least good. I kind of imagine Mike like at his like 11th birthday party, like if like his Aunt Steph gets him like a figure and he already has it, he's like, he should just say like, thanks Aunt Steph for this figure. But instead he just be like, I already have this Wolverine figure, you fucking bitch. Like he should have just been nice about it. You know what, listeners? email us at virtualpro64@gmail.com, and you will see how Mike just shit on all of the snacks that I fucking ferried over an ocean for that man. Unbelievable.
Kissing Contest episode 235.
Listen to it.
56 minutes in. You be the judge because Al is out of line in this.
So salty. You know what? I'm going again in November. You're not getting jack shit. Watch. Let me compose myself. All right, you want to start two-man scramble?
We got one more email.
Oh, is that me? Okay. This is from Dave. He has a question for the show. He says, "Hey there, big fan of Four Loko.
Yep.
Of all the available flavor options, please state your case in choosing the codeine promethazine reminiscent choice of black cherry Four Loko. Thanks, fellas, Dave." And then he added an attachment of your photo, which is kind of creepy.
Yes, that's what I think he thought I was drinking black cherry Four Loko in this picture. I was not. I don't remember. I mean, it might just be, I might have added a filter to it because it was either fruit punch or watermelon. I drink Four Loko at this point. I hate my life right now, so I've been drinking Four Loko almost every day. And I've still never fucked with the black cherry flavor. So this was either fruit punch or watermelon. I've still never had the black cherry. Not that I'm against it, but for some reason, Four Loko supplies are getting short in my neighborhood, and I'm getting kind of scared. But
Word.
And I'm drinking a fruit punch Four Loko right now, and it is delicious.
Man, I was going to pull the Four Loko move today because I stopped by my liquor store just because I needed to lube up for the show. And I didn't do that because the last time I drank Four Loko, I ended up on my back watching Above the Rim, and I threw up afterwards. And I don't have any good memories of Four Loko.
That's the only thing that makes me feel good in the world. I drank the last time I had a Four Loko Gold, which is usually my drink of choice because that's 14%, and regular Four Loko is only 12%. I yelled out loud to Daniel from Check the Tape podcast. I said, "I feel so good right now. Like, I forgot how good this makes me feel." And literally 15 minutes later, I was just passed out. But for that 15 minutes, I felt so fucking good.
Let's start the two-man scramble topic now. I only have two. I listened back to old episodes because I'm very narcissistic. And I must say that I'm kind of sad that no one ever got back to us regarding what would be worse to have in your household, used men's wrestling merch or used women's wrestling merch. I was totally on the women's merch side while Mike was kind of questionably on the fence. So if you guys can chime in and let us know what you would have in your household, women's merch or men's merch, please hit us up via email.
I won't name names, but I asked some actual pro wrestlers this weekend.
Shit.
And the one, like I said, I won't name names, but I was like, have you guys ever did this before? Did you ever sell your merch?
Yeah.
And one of them was like, no. And the other one was like, I've sold masks before, but I would never sell my used clothes because they definitely want them for something else other than collector stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I still stand by buying men's used merch if it's not a mask. If it is something that goes around their penis and butt, that's kind of sketchy. Even
you know what you said though? You said that if you could try on a pair of Sabu's pants, you would do it without question.
There's exceptions to every rule.
Sabu's pants being one of them.
Yeah, because they're so fucking cool. Of course you would try those on.
Yeah, like the barely legal lime green joints. I'd probably try them on. No question.
Yeah. So is that it for your two-man scramble?
Oh, okay. So I was going to come in just guns blazing, super hot take. But I wrote down, Finn Balor, just okay. Mike, are you willing to accept this?
Okay, so I figured you would get to this because this is part of my two-man scramble also. Finn Balor had his swan song match against Shinsuke Nakamura last Wednesday on NXT. And it was bogged down by commercials where there was a commercial break literally every 2 minutes on a streaming network that does not need to show commercials. So Lord knows why they did that. The match was good. It wasn't as good as Nakamura, Sami Zayn.
Thank you.
Some people were saying that they just wanted to be like the hot take kings that day because that wasn't true. But what was interesting is that the people that really broke this match down, nude stealer Brandon Stroud from With Spandex, and other more respectful people, they all said that it was the yellow man's fault for this match not being good. And Al, how do you feel about that? That it was Shinsuke Nakamura's selling the knee and then lack of selling the knee at the end of the match that really brought it down. How do you feel?
How do I feel? Who fucking cares? All right. It was fine. Like, that match is fine. Like, I did read that some people thought that match, I'm looking at you, Mike Ultra, they thought that match was better than Nakamura Zayn. And of course, I'm biased because I was there live. But I mean, come on, dude. Like, that match wasn't even... Like, Sami Zayn honestly would wrestle circles around Finn Balor. Do you agree?
Maybe. This is why I like Finn Balor. I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this when it was happening. And I think Finn Balor, he's not the most exciting wrestler, but everything he does is, like, it makes sense. And he doesn't ever do, like, stupid shit. He doesn't ever do too much. He doesn't ever do too little. He's just, like, a solid, smooth, like, he's a fluid wrestler. Like, he's a very fluid wrestler. And nothing he ever does is shitty. So I just think he's super good. And I don't know, like, that's what I like in wrestling. Like, I like people where you watch them and you're just like, oh, everything he does makes sense. Nothing's stupid. And I think he's, like, super good at that.
Nah, you know what I did is I thought about it pretty deeply after, like, because I knew that we were going to talk about it. And I think the issue that I have with Finn Balor is that, like, he doesn't have any signature, like, moves or, like, a signature style of wrestling. He does everything good. Does he do it great? I don't know. I don't think so. He's fine. So I think, like, he's going to be in this lane of, like, a Triple H where, like, he's not going to be in a bad match, but, like, is that going to be a dude that I, like, actively seek out to watch his matches? I don't think so. Do I think, like, he can get to that point? Yeah, absolutely. Like, he was fucking money in New Japan. But I mean, like, so far, I mean, you're right. He has to work, you know, a more toned down style because of NXT. But I mean, from the year or two run that he's had, like, it's just been good. Like, it hasn't been fantastic.
Yeah, I think, you know, everybody, like, when they have to transition to WWE style, some people are, like, really good at it. Some people take a long time. And I think he's just kind of like a CM Punk where, I mean, outside of that match with John Cena and, like, a handful of other WWE matches. Yeah. CM Punk never really had anything that, like, was fucking insane in WWE. But I still thought he was, like, one of my favorite wrestlers at the time. And I feel like Finn Balor's in that position.
I thought this conversation would be less civil, but I agree with you, Mike.
Good. The only lame topic I had for the two-man scramble was just if you had any opinions on the Cruiserweight Classic, which we're missing right now to record this.
Man, you know what? I appreciate the effort of them, like, having, like, a brand new, like, presentation. Like, it kind of looks like a 1989, like, yearbook photo shoot, like, their fucking motif. It looks like a Mead Trapper Keeper binder. And that's cool. The first episode was pretty dope. Like, that dude, that wrestled Grand Metalik, I think his last name is, Saez? Yeah. I guess that dude, like, learned to wrestle by watching YouTube videos or some shit. That's fucking amazing, because he was pretty good. But other than that, like, Kota Ibushi and Sean Uso, that match was fucking dope. Like, that match might have been better to me than Nakamura Balor. Like, Kota Ibushi's the fucking man, dude.
Some other hot takers were saying that too, but I don't believe it. I
don't want to. It was good, dude.
I don't want to get super nerdy about this, but, like, for a dude that they're lauding as hard as Kota Ibushi, they gave Sean Uso a little too much offense, but at the same time, they probably just wanted all the wrestlers that were losing to get their shit in because it's like their one chance. But yeah, I mean, Kota Ibushi should have just came in there and kicked him in the face, and, like, the match should have just been over after that. Like, if they really want to build him up that big, that's what they should have did. Ho Ho Lun was kind of out of left field because that dude kind of sucks. But
that dude is trash, and it's so funny because everyone's behind him because his name is, like, top 5, like, in the game. Yeah. But yeah, like, that dude was, like, trying to, like, amp the crowd up by doing drop kicks, and I was like, I'm not sold, my dude. That is not that cool.
But whatever. It's very intriguing. This is another thing that I'll talk more about as the show goes on. But okay, so again, the meat of the two-man scramble this week. I knew he was going to forget to send an email, so I wrote it down. But Brian Toshman, listener and friend for years and years, internet friend at least. He retweeted something by some guy, I forget his name, but he does either a podcast or he does a podcast and a website. One of them is called Sheet Sandwich, and the other thing is called Talking Sheet. Like, one of them is the podcast and one of them is a website. I don't know which one's which, but basically, the guy, the Sheet Sandwich guy, on his own volition, posted like screenshots of him like quote unquote sunning Dave Meltzer on Dave Meltzer's own message board that this dude pays to post on. Basically like calling out Dave Meltzer of something he said literally 33 years ago. And like, you know, he was just like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. This happened 33 years ago. And he posted a screenshot of like an old Wrestling Observer from 1983, like, ha, I got you. And so this dude proudly tweets this on the internet. And Toshman is just like, you're a fucking dweeb, dude. And like, you know, and then he just blocked him. And like, seriously, like, I listened to this podcast when I was looking for like unique wrestling podcasts because I was like, that's a cool idea. They just like talk shit about people who write wrestling news. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, like, these guys are serious. Like, they're like, they think they're doing like, they're internet watchdogs or something. And they're like doing like a service. This isn't jokes. And it made me feel like real weird and awkward that somebody like dedicated part of their life to do this. And I just wanted to mention that because like it wasn't in the shame tournament, but it's literally one of the most cringeworthy things I've seen on the internet was some guy calling Dave Meltzer out for something he wrote 33 years ago.
Yeah, it was about like him not enjoying wrestling as a kid or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Tosh had the fucking bar of the fucking year when he said like, what did he say? It was like, Dave fucking lives the life you rap about. That shit was the fucking best. Yeah, man. I just think Dave needs to fucking change his profile pic to his wallet. Like, I suggested that. Like, why come after the god? Why would you do that? Your arms are too short.
Yes. Can you still hear me? I just had to adjust my sound.
Yeah, I got you. Okay,
cool. Okay, so my last thing, and I've been debating since the weekend how hard I was going to go on this subject. Oh, shit. I went to Evolve this weekend. It was a real fun time. I hung out with CZW fans and Wrestle Bay. I forget her Twitter name already. Sorry.
CM Carly. We lead the
CM
league
Carly.
in Carly followers.
Yes. CM Carly and, you know, a few other people. And I drank about 75,000 beers. And most of them were CZW fans had these like those like fancy craft beers that were like 10% alcohol.
Yeah.
So I was pretty towed up. I don't really like, I only drink like malt liquor or real liquor. I don't really drink regular ass beer. So I was feeling good. And Evolve was fun. Honestly, I don't remember much about it. I was like completely zoned out because I was fucked up. Matt Riddle fought Rod Strong. That was very good. Anyway, the meat of this. Afterwards, we hung out at the bar that sometimes the wrestlers and like other hangers-on go to after Evolve is over. And we had dinner and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to think of how I should frame this. But basically, somebody was there. Like, I joke about the Brandon Stroud thing. If you guys are new listeners, basically, very early on, I told a story that I sent a tweet to Brandon Stroud of With Spandex saying, hey, check out my podcast, and he never responded. And I kind of joke about like how I feel like he big-timed me and how it'll just come back to him because like wrestling fandom is not that big of a world where you can just insult somebody and like get away with it. And a week later is when he got caught like stealing nudes from a girl. So you know, it kind of just lined up. But, you know, it's a joke, though. Like, I still read his shit. I still think he's, like, a good writer, and I don't really have any hard feelings against him. I just think it's a funny thing to bring up on the podcast. However, another writer from With Spandex was there, a female writer. I'm not even going to mention her name. She was at the bar, and we were hanging out. Like, this isn't the show. This is just, like, a handful of people hanging out at a bar, talking to each other, like, mutually talking to each other. Like I said, I was talking to a couple of like, you know, the more famed wrestlers that are in Evolve. And like, you know, we're just talking for hours about like movies and shit, just dumb shit. And so I was talking to this girl. We were talking about like dumb shit. And CZW fans was like, oh, you should check out his podcast. It's called Virtual Pros. It's like really funny. And she was just like right off the bat, oh, I don't listen to wrestling podcasts. And I was like, oh, you're so fucking cool. You don't listen to wrestling podcasts. Like, and I was just like, whatever. And then her fat friend was just like, was just like, I only listen to wrestling podcasts that I'm on. And it's just like, who the fuck are you? And it was like the closest I've come to mushing a girl in the face since I was in high school. Like, it was just like so upsetting because like, it's one thing if I was some dork at the show or like, you know, not saying that I'm cooler than a dork, but like if I was just some dude at the show that just like came up to her and accosted her and was like, listen to my podcast. And she was like, oh, I don't listen to wrestling podcasts. I understand that. If you're in like an intimate setting with like mutual people that, you know, you're all like at least 1 degree separated if you're all in the same place. I'm not like some fan that ran into this bar. Like, I've been in these situations hundreds of times with all different people from all different walks of life. And when, you know, you're like, oh, yeah, you know, I do this thing, or somebody's like, oh, yeah, he does this thing. It's really cool no matter what it is. You're not just like, as much of a dick as I am, I'm not even that dismissive. Like, you just say, oh, cool, yeah, I'll check it out. Even if you have no intentions of checking it out, you just say it to be polite. And she was just like, out of the gate, just like, oh, I don't listen to wrestling. Yeah, just like, I don't listen to wrestling podcasts. It's like, who the fuck are you? You write about wrestling. It's the only reason you're even fucking here. Like, it's the only reason anybody knows who the fuck you are. And I don't know. I just felt very disrespected by that. I am no longer going to read whatever the fuck she writes because that was just like a shitty move. And like I said, I just felt very disrespected.
I stand with Mike. I'm not going to read that site ever again either. That was bullshit. You should have checked out our podcast. At least lied about it to Mike, you know, just be fucking polite. I don't know.
Yeah, just say, cool, check it out. And then fucking just give me the finger when I turn around. I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah. It's just like common courtesy to just be like, cool, I'll check it out. Like, I've gone through this my whole life saying, cool, I'll check it out to people I'm never going to check their shit out to. And, you know, it's just like something nice that you do, but you got to be a dick. So now I'm going to tell everybody that I know that you're a dick.
I was actually going to parlay this from the Mike Ultra email. Like, you and I have made wrestle friends, and I think both of us were like shocked that we met wrestle friends that were pretty normal in real life. You know,
yeah, I mean, like when I was like talking to those wrestlers, because I was like, CCW fans said the same thing to them, and I was like, yeah, like I do a wrestling podcast, and like we don't complain about wrestling. And I was just trying to explain it to him. I was like, we talk about like the shameful aspects of stuff. Like, I was like, we did an episode about like how you explain to like girls you're a wrestling fan, and they were just like, oh shit, that's like fucking amazing that you would even do that. And like, you know, they completely understood because they didn't fucking shut me down in 2 seconds. Like this fucking nothing blogger girl that's God like damn. All she fucking does. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, you have a few thousand followers on Twitter. Like, get over your fucking self.
You know what, wrestling fans? Just learn how to smile and nod and say, that's amazing. It'll take you a lot of places, I promise you.
Otherwise, you know, she was pretty cool. It's just like that kind of shitty attitude that's kind of shitty. Like, I can understand if I was talking to the Dave Meltzer, but I wasn't. If Dave Meltzer was like, I don't fucking listen to wrestling podcasts, I'd be like, I don't blame you, Dave. Yeah. I was not talking to Dave Meltzer.
Oh, Dave, when I met him, fucking gentleman. That guy took 19 photos with me. He didn't look at the camera once, but that guy was so fucking nice. If Dave Meltzer could be nice to me, you should be fucking nice to me if you're a fucking wrestling personality. He's the god.
Yeah. Seriously, like, if I handed her a flyer or something, I could understand the rudeness. But like I said, it was like an intimate setting with like other people. Like, it was just very bougie of her to be like that.
Unbelievable. Yeah. All right, main topic. Favorite pro wrestling tropes. What are your favorite all reliables when it comes to Graps? Please stay tuned. And we're back with episode 21 of the VRTL Pros podcast. Today's topic, favorite pro wrestling tropes. What are your favorite all reliables when it comes to Graps? This was kind of like an open-ended like topic, so I think Mike and I might be on different lanes, but I mean, I think it'll work out.
The way I was looking at it, if you guys don't know, the WWE had their big brand split draft yesterday. And, what it boils down to is that's just basically a marketing ploy to get you to watch SmackDown for a week. And it worked. I think it got like super high ratings. And, I was glued to it. It's like the first thing I've looked forward to in WWE and since WrestleMania probably. And I watched like the whole thing and it was very interesting. And, so I was just trying to think of like other marketing ploys that always work on me and, how I felt about them. But I guess first we could just talk about the draft briefly. I thought they handled it like half well. Like it was cool that they actually picked wrestlers in order instead of doing some wacky shit where like a wrestler had to win a match to get picked or, just do something fucking stupid like that because I hate when they do stuff like that. They kind of rushed through all the picks though and showed like no one's reactions, which I think was fucked up because like they have all these videos of everybody in NXT like reacting like crazily to getting picked and stuff and they didn't even use it on the air. But I'm very glad. I was very worried of two things. I was worried that SmackDown would be strong enough where I'd want to watch it, and that didn't happen because all that happened is like AJ Styles got drafted to SmackDown, so I'm never going to see him again. But outside of that, I could do without anybody else that got drafted to SmackDown. And secondly, I was very worried NXT would be gutted because I'm going to NXT Brooklyn, and I'd be real bummed out if I was there to see Tino Sabbatelli versus the Drifter in the main event. And luckily, all they took out was American Alpha and Finn Balor, which was planned anyway. So I'm not really missing much. And I thought the draft was a success. Cesaro gave the shoot speech that I guess pretty much has damned him, where he's probably going to be the new Alberto Del Rio from now on. And Kalisto gave I think it was Kalisto. Yeah, Kalisto gave he just like fucked up on live TV and. Our live streaming, and it was pretty interesting. I don't know why they're drafting people like Mark Henry and Big Show still. Heath Slater didn't go drafted, and now he might go to Evolve or something, so that's cool. But yeah, what did you think though, Al?
The Kalisto interview is like my number one moment of the draft because you can just tell he was like a deer in the headlights, and he just got way too excited. He dropped a goddamn, and I never howled like louder than when I heard that. I think presentation wise, like I just wish they went all out. Like they were doing like the fucking like blank like fantasy like mock draft like PDFs. I was like, fuck, go all the way. Like have Mel Kiper like fucking do the pros and cons of like, everybody. Like have everyone like come out and like put on the hats and like shake hands with like the GMs. Like that'd have been tight. But instead they just ran like graphics, and I was like, this could have been done way better.
They should have, because like I DVR'd, I was like an hour behind because I had to record Kissing Contest, so I DVR'd it. And like no one watched the matches. Like they could have just, if they were going to go that hard with the drafting, they really should have went that hard where they were just like showed everybody in the locker room in suits and stuff, just like waiting and like don't even fucking do matches. No one cared. I don't remember who wrestled. No one remembers. All I remember is that Kane came out and just fucking bodied Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn right before they got drafted, which is real odd. I don't know why they did that. Like 75-year-old Kane just coming out and fucking up like your 9th draft pick, but whatever.
Yeah, can you imagine if like Shane McMahon like was like trying to do trades and like was stowing away like talent from Germany like for like 2 years later? Like that would have been fucking phenomenal. Like they should just went all the way.
Just like drafted like Ho Ho Lun or something, just like out of the blue. Just like
Like, can you imagine if like Mick Foley was like, we've traded the rights to fucking Damac? Like that would have been like the best TV ever, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't do it, but Finn Balor, your most favorite wrestler, got drafted above Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and John Cena. So
you know what's going to be cool about that is that they drafted the club on the same fucking team, so there'll be some cool interactions. You know what? I don't want to come off as like a Finn Balor hater. He's tight, like his branding is tight, but like as a wrestler, he's just all right. I don't know, just me. I'll start off. So one of my favorite tropes is the young lions that they have in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like to me, like it's kind of neat to watch like the evolution of these guys that are so down to do the most menial shit, like mop and like do laundry and like cook for wrestlers. Like that's true desire. Like for them to want to do that, that's fucking awesome. Like I bet the hook on getting like free jumpsuits and like t-shirts is dope, and like being responsible for like pounding on the mat and like being tormented by like Naito. Like that's kind of cool. And like, you know, the idea of paying dues like will always be funny to me, you know. I don't know why, it just is. It's kind of like it's like Freshman Friday every time they come out.
No, I agree with you. It's one of those things that's kind of like, I don't follow any league in soccer. I used to like sort of follow English league, but not like super hard or anything. But yeah, I like, there's like parts of like English league soccer and soccer as a whole that like I was always hooked by. Like relegation is like such a cool like gimmick to me, where you're just like, if you're so shitty, you have to like go down a peg. Yeah. And like stuff like, or like stuff where you get traded. You know, you could just like, you could be in England and get traded to like the Italian league, and you just have to fucking move to a whole new country. And that's ridiculous. And that's how I feel about the Young Lions thing. It's one of those things that like, if I lived in Japan, I would probably be super into it, where it's just like, because the whole Young Lions thing takes like 5 years, at least 5 years to play out from start to finish. Because, you know, they're mopping shit up. They get to wrestle and just lose. They have to fight in black panties for like 2 years. And then, you know, they have to go away and fight other places and come back, and then they're like stars. And yeah, the whole process is cool, but like I'm not gonna be around to watch the whole thing. Like I'm very new to New Japan. Even when I was like super into Japanese wrestling, I didn't really fuck with New Japan that much. So I'm very new to this process. But I've always been into that though.
I think what sparked this idea is that you know, when they made those videos for the draft reactions, I noticed that like NXT talent, they're like given matching jumpsuits. And like, how amazing would it be if like NXT just stole this whole like Young Lions idea and had like all the rookies and nobodies come out and like serve as hype men? Like, what if Tino Sabatelli and the Drifter had to lead like both these guys' chants and like fight forever for like, I don't know, like the hype bros? Like, I think that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Speaking of something else that's timely, I was thinking like within the next, I'd say 3 years, they're probably going to steal the G1 Climax gimmick. They have to.
For what brand? Like NXT?
For NXT. Yeah, I think for NXT they're going to steal it. I think they're doing their J Cup, and then they're going to try some lady shit, and then I think the next step is like a G1 Climax gimmick.
I won't even front. It might be a hot take, but that CWC is like shitting on Super J Cup right now. Yeah,
I still haven't watched it because we're doing this podcast, but hopefully by tomorrow I'll have watched it. Did you watch any of it yet?
Not yet. I'm gonna edit it, and then I'm gonna watch my man TJP, my fucking fellow countryman, just tear it up.
Yeah. Okay, my first one. The first one I'll go with. So speaking of this, just on topic, this is kind of a cop out. I think all mine are cop outs, but like I said, I just went with stuff that will like always get me hooked. And although one of those things is like something that's only happened twice, but the thing that like just always transforms my brain into like a childlike state when it comes to wrestling is any type of tournament. Right now, like the CWC is going on, the Super J Cup. I'm not so into the G1 Climax. Like I like the matches. Not too into round robin tournaments though. I'm not super into like point things unless it's soccer again. But yeah, like ever since like, as I said before on the show, ever since like WrestleMania 4, there's something that like it triggers in my brain where even if it's completely obvious who's going to win the tournament, there's always like tournament brackets just like plant this seed of doubt in my head where I'm like, literally anybody could win. Yeah. And I'm fucking so old. Like I should know better than this. Even with the shitty King of the Ring that happened last year that came down to Wade Barrett and Neville, like I was still hooked to it where I was like, oh man, Neville might win, Barrett might win, who knows? And it didn't matter. Like fucking no one gives a shit about Neville. Wade Barrett's not even in WWE anymore. It doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, I've always been fucking sour that they got rid of King of the Ring and they wrote it off. And so I'm super pumped that they're back to do it. They did the tag tournament last year. Now they're doing this cruiserweight tournament. And even though like I would be at this point, since there's rumors that he signed, like I would be fucking dumbfounded if Kota Ibushi didn't win. But I'm still like, man, the Mac might win. Like, who knows? Who knows who could win?
Ho-Ho Lund's gonna be in the top 8. Like, it might happen. I don't know.
Yeah, it might happen. Ho-Ho Lund might be in the top 8. So yeah, tournaments will like no matter what, no matter how dumb WWE is, it's always gonna hook me.
I might be going through Mike syndrome right now, where I like take notes and then completely forget about it. I wrote this a week ago, so I apologize. I'm trying to like jog my memory right now, but I wrote down my second favorite thing with wrestling tropes. I guess this is a new thing. I wrote down wrestling fans that are Amazon wishlist angels / anyone that sends goods to women they've never met on the internet.
Oh man, this was something I went to put on blast on 2-man scrambles. This worked out good.
My 2 bullet points where, we follow some of these people and they personally kind of keep me in check and set like a barometer almost for me to never reach that level of wrestling fan. Like, if I'm not touching you, I'm not sending you shit. Or like, if you don't do anything for me, I'm not going to send you fucking like money or any goods. That's so mental to me. But I mean, like, it's like a new thing where like, talent or whatever, or like if you're a personality, you'll set up like a wish list and people buy it for you because they're super sad. And I will say, if you're in love with me, if you're in love with Mike, if you're in love with both of us and you want to buy us shit, email us virtualpros64@gmail.com.
We provide an actual service though. Like, we're providing entertainment for people. And so, like, like I said, Steven sent me a computer. Like, if I was some girl with boobs and he just sent me a computer, that would be weird. But, I'm giving him hours of entertainment a week. I still feel very grateful. And I'm not like, I deserve this computer. I still think it's like way too much. But, it's super, as Al just said, if I'm not touching you, I'm not sending you shit. And, this person doesn't listen to our podcast. I'm sure people know who we're talking about, but like, you could rationalize it any way in your head that, oh, you like this person, so you're going to send them $100 worth of merch, but you're a sucker. You don't need to do that. You can sell that shit. Like, you can get a real girlfriend. You could buy a prostitute for that much, because that's basically what you're doing. You're paying for prostitution without getting any sex, and that's some sad ass shit.
Or you could be thrifty and just be charming.
Yeah. That is the most thrifty move ever, is just be charming, like regular human beings that interact with other human beings. Just be charming, be yourself. You don't need to send shit to people. But girls out there, girls who listen to this that get shit from these dudes, just fucking do it, man. Just live it.
Do you? Go ahead.
Just live it. Just get as much shit as you can, as much as possible from all the people you can, because that is the greatest hustle on earth. If you are a beautiful woman in the 21st century right now, and you can do this just over the internet without even fucking getting up, you're probably not even wearing makeup, probably not even wearing nice clothes, just sitting in bed, just typing bullshit, and having these guys send you stuff. Just fucking do it up. Just live it up. Get all the shit you want. And then, you know what? Sell that shit on eBay. Get yourself some money. Get something you actually want.
If I could tweet, wish I had some new speakers, and someone would send it to me like a day later, I would do that shit all goddamn day long. That's amazing.
Okay, so I don't know what that had to do with wrestling, but, what are you going to do?
No, I mean, the fans that exist, like, there are people out there that would be like, oh, man, I like this girl, but I don't have any charm. I got to fucking pay for it, you know what I mean? I need that at.
Yeah, you need that at, Nate. You need that follow.
Yep.
I will say, there is a fuck, I am fucking kind of faded right now, and I'm forgetting the word that I'm looking for, but there's a good amount of girls out there that, like, if you're a girl and you're attractive and you're into wrestling, that's like 1,000 followers right there. Just like, bam.
Oh, easy.
And I'm sure it's the same 1,000 dudes following all these girls. Just like, I got a chance. I'm in there. Like, I follow her on the internet. Just fucking talk to her. Don't be a creep. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I look at some of these girls, like anytime a hot girl says something on Twitter about wrestling, I always check the replies. And it's always just like, the saddest shit. And it's just like, I understand you gotta get out there and you gotta say your shit to get your chance, but you gotta proofread that, man. You gotta get an editor. Let me be your editor. I'll charge you like $20 and I'll just be like, you can't say that to a girl, man. They're just gonna think you're creepy. Like, it's just that girl Carly, like, she has one of those fucking annoying things where it's like, ask me questions, and it's just like, I read her shit and I'm just like, ooh, like,
yo, real talk, yes.
If you're even saying this anonymously, it's just like, you still type that deep down in your soul. You said that, even if it's anonymous, and you have to live with that. You have to go to your grave, and it's just fucking disgusting.
You want a VRTL gem? Honestly, no one is the Floyd Mayweather of dating. You're gonna shoot your shot. You're gonna take an L. Just hold that L. It makes you fucking stronger. Listeners,
yes.
If you guys are buying shit for girls that you don't know, don't do it. Just fucking, like, take your risk, shoot your shot. If it misses, it's okay. No one can go 20 for 20 at the fucking free throw line.
It's true, man. Just, you gotta not buy shit. You gotta be charming.
Yep.
That is going to be the motto of Virtual Pros from now on. Don't buy shit, be charming.
Yup.
Except when we put out shit. You could buy that shit all you want for girls.
Yep.
So now I have to get back to serious wrestling talk, unfortunately. But the second thing is a super cop out, because it's like I said, it's only happened twice. But man, I swear to God, this thing has captured I wish WWE would bring this back. But back in the early 90s, WCW did this thing called Battle Bowl, which was like they picked tag teams at random from like a fucking bingo thing, like a bingo basket. And at the end, all the tag teams that won got put into a battle royal. Honorable mention goes to Battle Royal. That used to be my favorite wrestling trope until WWE ran it into the ground. It made it dumb. But then all the winners go into Battle Royal, and then there's like one true winner. But back then it was like I didn't really know WCW, and WCW like kind of on the DL had like 1,000 wrestlers wrestling for them. So there'd like literally be people you never heard of, like getting teamed up with Vader, and you're just like, oh, it's Vader and Arachnaman, this guy that dresses up like fucking Spider-Man, but he's blue and yellow instead of blue and red. And you're just like, this is fucking crazy. And that they've only done it twice, and both times it sucks. And still, if I'm bored and like, I'm just like, let me put on something on the network, it'll always be Battle Bowl. Like, I'm just hoping NXT, if you're listening, Paul, if you're out there, just do NXT Battle Bowl. Just like, I know you have all those secret wrestlers that are never on TV. Just put them in Battle Bowl, and I'll just be so happy.
Yo, if I get a tag team of fucking the Drifter and AKIRA Tozawa, I'm gonna re-up like twice. I'll get 2 accounts.
Yes.
Man.
Oh, that's another thing I will say about the draft. I'm glad they drafted all those NXT women, so all the WrestleBays like Peyton Royce it's their time to shine now. Because it's funny, she's been in NXT for like 3 years. I don't think she's ever won a match, and so I'm glad she's like actually now just a title contender by default.
We don't talk not face to face, but on the phone a lot. But Mike, I need you to stop liking her photos first on our account, because that's fucking my job. All right. Okay. Fucking serious. Man, all my fucking things are just making fun of other people. I apologize. But actually, no, this is kind of fucking on topic. My last one is the Japanese wrestler that goes to Mexico because they're washed, and then they come back, and then they become my favorite wrestler. I'm not sure how they pick like who gets to go, but I think every Japanese wrestler should go to fucking Mexico. Like, notables include Shinsuke Nakamura, Naito, Akira Hokuto, Sasuke, Hayabusa, Io Shirai. Like, it's a foolproof way to become like an amazing wrestler. Like I said, like, I'm not sure like how they pick it or who goes there, but like, I'm not even sure like how they swagger jack CMLL, but it always works, and they should like legit run this play for everybody. Like, I bet if like Goto went to fucking Mexico, he would be like my new favorite wrestler. They should do this to fucking everybody.
Yeah, I have no opinions on that, unfortunately. As much as I'd like to watch Mexican wrestling, I don't. So
yeah, I don't even like lucha, so I'm like, what happens when these Japanese people go to Mexico? They just get their swag up like 10 million %. I don't know.
Wait, who was the dude who went to Mexico and they got set up with the all the drugs? Was it Evil?
With drugs?
There was some dude who got fucking. It was him and his girlfriend, who's also a wrestler.
Oh, you know who this was? This was fucking. I think it was Nozawa and Io Shirai.
Yeah, it was Io Shirai and somebody. Yeah.
I think it was Nozawa.
I can't remember who tried to set him up with the drugs, but I think it was another Japanese wrestler. Oh,
yeah.
Well.
So didn't like fucking Nozawa or some shit. We might have this wrong. We probably have it wrong, but I know Io Shirai was for sure like part of it. Like someone put marijuana in like some like fan art or some shit.
Yeah, and like a painting, like in the frame of art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure some dork will correct us. So just get on top of that. But yeah, I guess Mexico's pretty wild, and it does a lot for Japanese people. So
yeah.
Speaking of Mexico, though, and my last trope is something that is steeped in Mexican wrestling culture, but I don't really like it when it's in Mexican wrestling culture. Although, for some reason, when WWE does it, and they haven't done it in a while, I will always fall for it, and that is the hair versus hair match. Not so much mask versus mask match. I never really cared about that because, like, all you're getting to see is some dude you don't recognize. It's not like mask versus mask would be cool if, like, they took off the mask and you were just like, oh, shit, that's, like, my next-door neighbor. But that never happens. Like, it's always just like, oh, that's that guy's face. That's fucking crazy. But like a hair, like losing your hair is like a cosmetic change that you can't fix for months. And I think like it is crazy that WWE doesn't do this more. I guess it's just because wrestlers don't want to do it. But like they're like subtle masters at the hair versus hair match, and they like don't ever do it. But like when Vince lost his hair, it was fucking amazing. He wore that do-rag all the time. When CM Punk lost his hair, it was amazing. When Kurt Angle lost his hair and he wore that wig, like anytime they do hair versus hair match, it's amazing. So again, Paul, if you're listening, you gotta like Baron Corbin is balding. Get him in a hair versus hair match.
Oh shit!
Like there's a Dean Ambrose. You know, your hair's looking kind of thin on top. You could be in a hair versus hair match. There's a few guys that are eligible. Neville, you know, it's not gonna matter what you look like. So just like you could be in that hair versus hair match.
God damn.
Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, Neville was on the draft with a beard, and he looks pretty good. Like he looks like he doesn't look so weird anymore. So maybe the beard is a good way to go.
Yeah, I'm not into like fantasy, but like I don't think elves have beards, so like this dude should fucking keep the beard.
Keep the beard.
I will say that if like No Way Jose was in a hair versus hair match, I would have like legit panics because he should have his hair forever.
I read in the dirt sheets that the Mojo Rawley pick in the draft might have went to No Way Jose, and then last minute they picked Mojo Rawley. I'm glad though, because I am fucking pumped to see that No Way Jose entrance in Brooklyn. Like if he doesn't fight on Brooklyn, I'm gonna be so pissed.
But he's gonna lose to fucking Austin Aries. You okay with that?
No way, man. Austin Aries is gonna be a doormat for every other person in NXT.
That is, oh my god. Hey,
that dude fucking being washed, going off on Pokemon Go on the internet, dude. Get a fucking clue.
Summer Shame 16 is being planned, by the way, and I am betting all in on Austin Aries beating No Way Jose next month. Book
no
it.
Fucking way, man. That dude's gonna be a doormat the entire time he's in NXT.
You're gonna be wearing another fucking Buff Bagwell shirt fucking in a month, I guarantee it. Up next, VRTL mixtape with the Dirtydaddy, Chris Dickinson, IWA House Deathmatch. And what else did we have? Oh shit, Akira Tozawa. It's junior season. Please stay tuned.
Get on some real yard shit. Come in on it like this.
No one girl can satisfy me. Me need more fuel for the lime green. Me let no one girl can deny me. Me no see me change shiny but white free. Me a controller, young soldier, once over. Any man at this way I get slumped over. Not for scared of the thing, girl, come closer. You need to come over. Bad man, we no watch that. Even when me need to watch that, I got my gun on me. If me ever need to shot that, one time for the rude boy, yeah, you know that. Honey down on a new toy, and you know that. I been looking for you, baby. You need somebody wavy. 300 down on the red, I bought the whole thing. Young nigga getting this cake, it's not a joke thing. I'm that nigga and I'm wavy. These souls never about to play me, okay? Then wait for the thing, she a push pon it. But I'm on it, shorty up on it. Come rock it down it, baby, I'm on it. Top down in the morning, tell me you want it. She been fucking for a come up, I got no condoms. Hit my nigga on the low, they go get the condoms. We poppin', we got the hoes, they pullin' up on us. But still I'ma keep it low, cause shorty know I got it. Shorty know I'm on it, pull up on me. When I rub up on palmin', come fuck with the top shot. Money on me, no little man can't.
And we're back with the RTL Pros mixtape. If you want to peep it, go ahead and just search for Virtual Pros on YouTube. It'll pop right up. It's just bitten Hotline Bling art. It makes me laugh, but you should check it out. The first match we're going to start off with is JT Dunn versus the Dirtydaddy, Chris Dickinson, 2015 from House of Glory. I picked this match because Chris Dickinson's been fucking with us for a minute, and just wanted to show some appreciation and check that dude out. You met that guy.
Yeah, I met him. I've seen him a couple times live. I've only seen one other match of his, besides the intergender match that everybody saw, but I've only seen like one other match of his on recording, and that was a match he had with Brian Cage and PWG, and it is I know he fucks with us, so it sounds like I'm bullshitting, but it's my favorite PWG match just because I kind of dislike PWG. But seeing like two jack dudes doing like all these crazy fucking moves was pretty intense for me. So But yeah, I met him briefly at Evolve, and he was like, "Oh, you're the guy that talks shit on all the other wrestling podcasts." And we like spoke briefly, and then he had to go. But yeah, he's a super cool dude, and he threw the shit out of this Darby Allin wrestler.
Oh shit, yeah, he did.
His whole like this. I saw him. He wrestled on WrestleMania weekend on one of like the WWN shows. This Darby Allin guy, and like. Me and my friend Dave were watching it, and like he was just getting thrown around like crazy. So I guess this is Darby Allin's gimmick, is just getting thrown around. And yeah, Chris Dickinson just like threw the fucking shit out of this guy, and it was pretty intense.
Yeah, so the spot was like Chris Dickinson. He did that back body drop onto the outside to this Darby Allin dude. This guy does a front flip, hits his legs on the guardrail, and just lands fucking neck first on the ground.
It was some like little Spike Dudley shit, like Bam Bam Bigelow versus little Spike Dudley, but like, you know, but size appropriate. Like Darby Allin is not the size of little Spike Dudley, and fucking Chris Dickinson is not the size of Bam Bam. There's like two people that are like of good size doing this shit.
It was fucked up. Okay, so I was wondering, like, whenever something cool happens during a match, do you think the fans at these shows chant H-O-G, H-O-G, or Hog, Hog? I think I'd prefer the latter. Like, do you know how this goes?
I don't know. This is my first House of Glory match, and I've always been enamored with the name House of Glory and how it spells hog.
Yeah.
And how I would probably, if I was a promoter making my own promotion, I would probably not make something that had the initials hog, but that's just me.
I was thinking about how unfortunate that acronym is. Like, there are some GOAT acronyms like FMW, fucking war, like ECW, like shit that rolls off the tongue. Hog? I don't know.
Maybe
man.
they just make oinky noises when they're excited. Who knows?
They just start snorting. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Man, so I put this match on, and like I immediately groaned when I heard Matt Stryker's voice on the call. I was super bummed out. I think Chris Dickinson, he gives a suck it to someone that follows us on Twitter. I thought that was kind of rude. But I will give him props because he's rocking that Daisuke Ikeda red black aesthetic, which is fucking ultra tight. Shout out to Battle Arts. Stryker's calling this match like fucking Jim Lampley on HBO, and he's going on and on about like fucking fighting stances and like strategic referee placements. And I guess it's like sort of commendable, but I'm like totally rolling my eyes every time he does this. But I will say that like this might be the most toned down Stryker I've ever heard. Chris Dickinson, he hits a Falcon Arrow like 2 seconds into the match, which is fucking tight. I'm all about that. Go ahead and do that if you want. The older I get, I think I appreciate like a more grinding, brawling style of wrestling. And like Dickinson does like all of this. Like he puts the elbow on the face when he makes a cover, which might be like my favorite small detail in pro wrestling. And then Dickinson, he hits like this belly to black suplex where like JT Dunn rotates, which like made me rewind the YouTube clip like 5 times. That shit was disgusting. Lastly, I think no one should ever kick out of a Pazuzu bomb. Like that shit should be like more protected than a tombstone. Like that move should be like reserved for like when you do moves on your nephew in like a swimming pool. Like it's so dangerous.
Yeah, I kind of have exactly all the same notes you had. I also wrote down, this is a very subdued Matt Stryker. It's almost kind of like he isn't annoying this way, but at the same time, it kind of sounds like he just knew he wasn't getting paid a lot for this. So he was just kind of like, you know, I'm just going to half show up for this. But it's better. Like Matt Stryker, you should listen back to this and be like this Matt Stryker more often. And maybe you would still be announcing for New Japan Pro Wrestling if
God
that
damn.
happened.
I agree.
I'm just saying. I like Chris's number one dad shirt. That is a fucking great gimmick to come out in a number one dad shirt. I also said, yeah, he hits that Falcon Arrow just like a true virtual pro wrestling player. It's like fucking perfect. And yeah, again, the Pazuzu bomb is like it. For you guys who don't know, it is like Razor's Edge, but he also like fucking chucks the dude like across the ring. Yeah. And yeah, like Al said, that is not a move you should ever kick out of because it looks very dangerous. And I feel bad for anybody who has to take that move. But yeah, this is a good match. It wasn't. I'm not familiar with JT Dunn. I think he also wrestles in CZW. But yeah, like I said, I've seen Chris like a few times now, and I'm a fan. So this is a good match.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Dickinson. Thanks for fucking with us, man.
For sure. Okay, my first match is, so to preface these two matches, me and Daniel have been just like hanging around, just watching all these death matches because he's never seen them. and I've kind of just like chilled on death matches in the last 15 years. But like, there's this YouTube channel called Mutton and the Ham. And this dude has all the new Big Japan death matches. He has all Freedom's death matches. He has all this shit. So we've just been watching them and just like, I've been getting back into it. Like I've been getting this bloodlust again that I don't want. I don't want this bloodlust, but it's getting back inside of me, and I can't help it because these death matches are insane. But anyway, this isn't like an actual literal death match, but this is our old favorite from the card death match, Kamui versus Winger in an alcohol death match that took place on Christmas 2014 in Freedoms. I assume this is the same Winger from my youth and that he's still kicking around. He's still looking good if it's the same guy. You'd expect like 15 years later he'd be like fat and shit, but he's still in shape. So I'm not sure if this is the same Winger. Again, fact people, you could fact check me if I'm wrong and this is a different Winger, but pretty sure this is the dude that was in Big Japan in like 2001, but I don't know. So yeah, the whole gimmick of this match is that they drink tequila like every minute that the match goes on. And I was pretty faded the first time I watched this match, and it just like captured my imagination. But like, what do you think? Do you believe that this alcohol was not actual alcohol, correct?
Oh man, so like I know, or I guess I'm leaning towards this alcohol not being real fucking like Jose Cuervo, but like the way that they're selling like is pretty convincing. So like I'm still like on that wave where like I doubt it's real, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm very enamored with this match. That's the exact reason, because I am 99% sure this is not real alcohol, just because of the way they drink it. And there's like, they don't sell the drinking of the alcohol, but they sell being drunk like amazingly well. So it's just kind of like they're drinking this alcohol, and like if I had to drink tequila, like if I forcefully had to be like drink tequila, and I'm not Asian, I know Asians have an aversion to drinking.
Problematic
so, like,
light is on, dude.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, like this is facts are facts. Like Asians have a hard time drinking.
Hey, don't check your boy. I don't like this talk right now.
Don is a champion drinker, but there's again exceptions to the rule. But I'm just saying, a lot of Asians I know, like,
Me?
you know, they have. Yeah, I don't know you. I don't like. I've drank with you, but I haven't. Like, you could hold your alcohol well.
I don't see bad at it.
But yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of Asians, they have like 2 drinks and they're about to die. So,
oh my god.
But yeah, these dudes are just like knocking them back like it's water. So that's what makes me think it's fake. But so yeah, the psychology of this match is like pretty crazy, that they're really selling being drunk, and it's like they're doing like all moves you would hate to be done to you while you were drunk. Like they're shaking each other's heads and throwing each other by the head, and they're they're moving around as if they're actually drunk. And so it's very entertaining to watch. It's just like a funny comedy match. At the end, like Kamui like kind of reveals that he's not that drunk, because he's super crisp in like his finishing moves. But yeah, I don't know. Like I watched it. There's another one of these matches with the girl from Stardom. I could be mixing them up. I watched so many death matches, forget it. I think one of the Stardom girls was in one of these matches. Yeah, it was the
Afro one?
It could be her, it could be Jungle Kimura. I think it might have been Jungle Kimura. But one of these girls was in one of these matches too, and yeah, it wasn't as good as this, but I don't know. I thought this match was fucking cute, so I put it on this mixtape. What did you think, Al?
So when they were drinking initially, they were like drinking like how I would drink tequila. Like they were super like, this is so gross, and then shooting it down. And then later on, they were just pounding it like water. And like that's usually how the normal flow of drinking goes. Like, you know, the more faded you get, the easier it is to drink. But yeah, I'm still kind of hung up on whether or not like if they took like one legit shot. I don't know if that happened. I'm guessing no, because I wouldn't let anyone drunk like do fucking wrestling moves on me for fucking sure.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I've seen they did that. I think Necro Butcher. I think I mentioned this before, but like Necro Butcher and somebody had like a drunk match in IWA Mid-South, and they were really drinking, but they were also just punching each other in the face.
Yeah.
So, but I think outside of that, like you would have to be like, okay, we can't really get drunk and do this because this is dangerous.
Yeah.
Even in the fucking promotion where they fought on top of cars, they would still have enough sense to be like, we can't do moves to each other when we're drunk.
No one faded is gonna do a fucking like sit out powerbomb on me. I'm not gonna fucking risk it. I only had like 2 notes here. I wrote down that I wish this match was done with Hennessy instead, because they'd have like wrestled like fucking Kabashi and Misawa if they did. And although I feel like this was worked, I still think that like I was like still kind of dry heaving, because the idea of like doing like hard physical activity after taking shots is like truly repulsive.
And they're so good. Yeah, they're so good at acting this out. Like they really thought about this. And so yeah, if you want to watch people simulate being drunk, this is like the place to go to watch it.
Super good, man. Freedom's promotion of the year for me right now, even though we're 2 years late. I feel like.
Yes.
I picked, because it's topical and it's junior season, I picked AKIRA Tozawa versus Eita from Kobe 2015. I picked this match because we're in the thick of junior season. And also, if I haven't mentioned it, I'm sure I have 90,000 times. I'm going to Glorious Nippon in November, and Dragon Gate is running Korakuen Hall when I'm there. So this match kind of serves as like a double purpose, because like Dragon Gate is like one of the promotions that I'm like completely ignorant about in 2016. And like, although I've been to like 2 of their shows when they hit America, like I still like haven't like followed it. Like, even though I was like completely blown away by the main events, mind you, like I remember seeing like BB Hulk, and I was like, dude, this is like the best wrestler I've ever seen in my entire life. But like people shit on that dude online, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I didn't see what they're seeing, obviously. Yeah, fuck them, dude. BB Hulk is tight. I dig the fact that like Akira Tozawa like has implemented like screaming like a Joshi in his ring performances. I think that's cool. He also has like an Obey like logo flip on his shorts, which is kind of played out, but he has prayer hands on his shorts too, and that's gonna be like forever tight to me. I guess Tozawa is also like Apollo Cruz's best friend, which is unfortunate because none of Tozawa's charisma has rubbed off on Apollo Cruz. That sucks. Boom, got him. Eita hits like this amazing tope con hilo, which makes me think that he should have, or I mean, I should have stayed on the roster or on the wagon the entire time, because he might have the most ups from like a Japanese dude. Like, I bet he could dunk, and that's like a fucking like, you know, remarkable thing to accomplish as an Asian dude. But match-wise, like, I think the transitions they do are like super crisp. They're like incredible to watch. A very fun match, and I think I'm back on this Dragon Gate wagon.
Yeah, that just reminded me, I forgot to mention during the draft talk that I am most looking forward to all the hot take diaper babies on Twitter for in a few weeks from now, talking about how great SmackDown is over Raw and how great Apollo Crews is now that he's on some bullshit show. But we'll see. But yeah, getting back to this match, I didn't have a lot of notes. I'm in the same boat as Al, where like I've said on this before, I was like a huge supporter of Toryumon when that was the thing, and Dragon Gate was like the next logical step. But then it got this weird, reputation of being for teen girls and gay dudes.
It got visual. It was a very visual promotion.
It became a very visual promotion. So I kind of stepped back because I'm not a big on visual promotions unless it's like Stardom.
Yeah.
And so I was down with Dragon Gate USA because it would be like Tozawa and also Dean Ambrose. And I was just like, this is fucking cool. But then they stopped Dragon Gate USA. And so yeah, I'm not like super, it's like, like I said it about like if Michinoku Pro had one, but if like Dragon Gate had like a Stardom like YouTube channel where they did everything and like subtitles and stuff, I'd be totally down with it. But
yep.
The whole visual aspect of it is just, it kind of turns me off, but I don't know if it's still like that. But either way, the notes I did have, I don't know if Al mentioned this, but yeah, this is Eita and Tozawa. So this is like the Cruiserweight Classic versus the Super J Cup because they're each in each tournament. The outside dive that Eita does is one of the most dangerous looking dives I've ever seen. He's going so fast and it's all forward momentum. Like there is just like he's just praying that everything works out. It is fucking insane. And I'm sure like, you know, this isn't like a big move. It doesn't seem like a big move to him. So I'm sure he does this at least once per match, and that is insane. Also, Dragon Gate is the tiniest men in the world's biggest ring. Like I know they have like that Mexican style ring, but it's so gigantic, and I kind of wish the Cruiserweight Classic ripped that off, where they just had I've heard, like, I'm not a ring truther, like I'm a height truther, but like, I think WWE has one of the bigger rings when it comes to wrestling rings, but they need, like, the Cruiserweight Classic should have had, like, the big, because they have the big, like, launch pad turnbuckle, so they should have had, like, the big Mexican style ring too for these little guys. But yeah, this match is good. I was kind of expecting like a pinball type match, and it's a little more well thought out than that. The whole like match is like building up to Tozawa doing his like straight jacket holding German suplex thing, and yeah, it's super good. Like, I kind of wish I had like some kind of starter pack for modern Dragon Gate,
Dude,
but I don't.
Me too, man. Yeah. Hey, if you guys are into Dragon Gate, like, help me catch up. I don't know jack shit about Dragon Gate from like 2007 on. I just know it's very visual. Help me out.
I was very shocked. Because this match is like 2014, I think 2015 actually,
Yeah.
and it seemed like a sizable crowd. Like, I just kind of assumed that Dragon Gate was doing like shit in that Freedom's garage at this point, but like, it seems like a sizable non-gay dude, non-teen girl crowd, and so maybe it isn't like a weird wrestling promotion anymore. So maybe there is stuff to catch on. But yeah, even the Twitter people we follow, I don't really hear people talking about Dragon Gate that much. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I would watch more Dragon Gate. Okay, so my last match is the original IWA House Death Match from the summer of 1995. This is technically Shoji Nakamaki, aka Lama Namanumi, and Hiroshi Ono versus the Crypt Keeper, aka the Hollywood Nightmare, aka Hollywood Chuck Hogan, and some dude named Bob Baragal, who's it's possible that is just a name that was lost in translation, and that's not his name, but in 1995, that's what we knew him as. So this was also on the Mutton and the Ham channel, and originally Big Japan also did a house death match in 2003, and I wanted to choose that one, but it's an hour long, so I didn't choose it. But it is literally one of the most bizarre spectacles I've ever seen. I don't know if it's in Carrigan Hall or a venue that looks a lot similar to Carrigan Hall, but they actually built a house inside of like a wrestling arena and then fought in it. And it is so fucking bizarre. But again, it's an hour long. But, you know, it made me think, and like, it's right next to each other on the Mutton and the Ham channel, the IWA House Death Match, and it made me think about it. So I was like, oh, let me put this on. I haven't watched this in a minute. And I put it on, and within seconds, it was just like a wave of nostalgia washed over me. Like, I remember getting this tape. I remember watching it like over and over again. I'm pretty sure this is a tape that I had that bled into like a Gravore video at the end. And like, the opening to this match of the Crypt Keeper running, like frolicking with his baseball bat to the house, and then the Bob Baragal guy writing "fuck you" in spray paint on the door is just like, I remember putting that on like a VHS mixtape that I made of just like all this cool shit. Like, oh, I'm cool. I'm going to make this cool mixtape. And like, I put that on the mixtape. This whole like 1 minute opening to this match is like one of my favorite things of any kind of visual medium. And, so yeah, like I put this on and I was like, man, this brings me back. Like, I just remember watching this over and over again. And I would honestly say, if you are a person that's listening to this show that's never watched a wrestling match, this is the one wrestling match you need to see in your life over anything, because it is fucking amazing. Basically, it's the Crypt Keeper, and he's a literal white man in a Crypt Keeper mask in a baseball uniform for some reason. And Bob Baragal, who's a black man, maybe a mixed race, and a kind of like a high top fade with lines cut into it, and a question mark t-shirt and some biker shorts. And they show up to Shoji Nagamaki's house. He is just chilling with his friends, drinking sake, and they just show up to his house with a barbed wire baseball bat and spray paint and just start fucking up his house. And this starts an actual wrestling match inside of his house. Again, this is the greatest opening I've ever seen in a wrestling match ever. First 2 minutes before the bell rings is just like amazing cinema. But yeah, they start fighting in the wrestling match, and IWA Japan is a promotion filled with questionably skilled wrestlers. And I will say Bob Baragal is maybe the most questionably skilled wrestler in all of IWA Japan. I've never seen this dude again. I don't like, back in the day, when like wrestling like this was popular, they would do like shoot interviews with anybody who's ever been a wrestler. I doubt Bob Baragal even got a fucking shoot interview. Like, that's how obscure this guy is. I don't know how he got in this match. Like, I don't know this dude's story. Like, is he some military man that got stationed in Japan and got tricked into being a wrestler? Like, this dude fucking sucks at wrestling. And, like, he just, like, somehow ended up in IWA Japan. I've never heard of him. I don't know what fucking indie he's from. I, like, never heard of him again. Who knows who this fucking guy is? He spends the whole match working on Shoji Nakamaki's head. And by that, I mean he's just biting his head and doing moves to his head. Or Hiroshi Ono doing moves to his head. Biting Shoji Nakamaki's head is disgusting, by the way.
Yeah.
It is,
I didn't like it.
It is nasty. In the middle of the match, there is a somber narration by Shoji Nakamaki. It's weird because this match starts out with music, and you're just like, okay, I can get into this. Like, this is like a cool video. And then the music stops, and then it's just guys fighting in a house. And you kind of feel awkward for a while, where you're just like, this is weird. Like, why am I watching this? And then like it stops and there's just a voiceover of Shoji Nakamaki, I assume, explaining the situation to the viewers, where he's just like, man, this sucks. Crypt Keeper's beating my ass, but I'm about to get that fighting spirit and I'm about to come back. One of the most beautiful things about this match is the cameras every once in a while show onlookers watching, which I'm sure weren't warned that there was like going to be a fucking simulated wrestling match happening in their neighborhood. And it is like all of the crowd shots are one of the most beautiful things that's ever happened in wrestling. There's a part where like they show this woman watching from her porch, and the camera like pans over to her, and she just runs inside because she's like, I don't want to be on this fucking camera. At one point, Bob Baragal shoots a fake fireball, which is weird. And the biggest takeaway I had from this match is I don't know who played the Crypt Keeper. I never looked into that, but I don't know how he fought with this mask on. Like, this mask has tiny, tiny eye holes. He's doing this dangerous shit, and he never loses his mask, and he's just, like, purely professional all the time. 5 stars all day, 12 stars all day. This is one of the greatest matches in fucking wrestling history. If you've never seen this, and you've never watched anything on our mixtape, search Virtual Pros on YouTube, go to our playlist. This is the one match you need to see. It'll be the best 22 minutes of your life. I swear to God.
How do I follow that, man? It's impossible. One of my notes was that I love that the ref was like sleeping inside of a closet, and he just decides to wake up, and like he decides to just call a wrestling match after all this racket happens, where like people are beating up on his house and like breaking windows. He's just like, all right, it's time to fucking work.
Oh, I mean, he has a wrestling bell inside of his house too.
Yeah, Shoji Nakamaki was just ready to fucking fight. There's a dude with IWA all over print pants, and this might be my new fucking like pro merch grail. Like, I need these fucking pants. I watched this match during my lunch, and I think my coworkers like fucking monitor sniped me. And it was when Shoji Nakamaki was just bleeding profusely, and he was getting his head bitten into. And so I've been checking my work email for the past hour, just like waiting for that HR email. Like, hey, Al, you can't be watching that shit at work. My last note was that at the 4-minute mark, I checked to see how much time is left. And mind you, this vid is like close to 24 minutes long.
It is 22 minutes. It is about 2 minutes of build-up, 18 minutes of match, and then 2 minutes of like after like, Shoji Nakamaki giving his trademark awesome speech at the end of the match. I also forgot to mention when I looked up, because I was like, I don't remember this fucking black dude's name at all. So I was like, I gotta search the match list. And it was like Kismet, man. I fucking Googled it, and I went back to the same tripod page that I fucking traded tapes with to get this goddamn match. It was this dude, High Winds. And for a minute, we had like this racket going where we were like, we had like this mutual agreement where we were like trading tapes to each other and then trading those tapes to like other people. And we had like, for a minute though, it was like an uneasy alliance that only lasted like a few months. But High Winds, if you're listening to this out there, shout out to you for giving me this IWA match, because it was a big mold in my life. I put a little of this on Instagram, and like I said, some people get nostalgic when they hear an old song or they smell like a certain perfume. But like as soon as I saw fucking Crypt Keeper frolicking down the alleyway with his barbed wire baseball bat, I was just like, I had all these emotions inside of me. And I just want you, the listeners out there, to feel these fucking emotions just like I did.
High Winds and fucking Mike just lying about fucking VHS quality, saying that tapes are VG, but they're actually G, I bet.
Yes, we had a racket. I want you people to throw out your fucking spreadsheets and all your fucking hot takes and all that shit and just feel something. Feel some fucking emotion when you watch one of these matches. It's a fucking amazing feeling. And when you see Mr. Pogo fall in that fucking pool, if it doesn't do something and if it doesn't give you a warm feeling inside of your stomach, it's not real.
So I like checked the fucking time and I was like, wow, there's 19 minutes left. So I decided that I had enough of watching people get thrown into walls. And I decided to watch this match at 2 times the speed because YouTube allows you to do that. And you are legitimately not missing out on anything if you do this. I will say that the ending montage is fucking just tremendous, though. I will give it that.
Yes.
That was episode 21 of the VRTL Pros podcast. If you haven't already, hit us on Twitter at VRTL Pros. Same as our Instagram. If you haven't already as well, follow us on SoundCloud. Hit that heart. You know I like it. And also subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you have the time, give us a rating. We got 7 fucking 5 stars, man. We're like fucking, we're like Manami Toyota, the fucking podcast game. Mike, any last words?
Don't buy shit, just be charming.
Don't buy shit, just be charming. Virtual Pros, episode 21. Peace.